Has this ever happened at your table? The game starts and you drop your party into a world you've spent hours on, creating maps, NPC names, and intricate lore. But when you hit them with that first classic opening line, "Alright, adventurers, you arrive in the town you've been summoned to. What would you like to do?" Suddenly, the table goes quiet. Players glance at each other, awaiting for someone else to start the game. Radio, silence. It's a moment every dungeon master will face eventually, and it's even more likely to happen online, where there are new players that don't know each other personally, or may even be complete strangers. No one wants to be that player that steals the spotlight and dominates the table. So they wait, and so do you. The truth is, it's not a bad thing, it's human nature. People don't want to make a bad impression. They feel obligated through politeness to let someone else take the lead. The problem is, D&D isn't a polite dinner party, it's a living story. And when the DM lobs the narrative football and no one catches it, the game dies before it's even begun. So, what's the fix? Do you give another long monologue, sit there in silence, break character, and beg someone to do something? No. Instead, you pull a page straight out of the new Marvel movie Thunderbolts, because here's the twist. You don't need a dragon, a tavern, or even magic to run a compelling D&D session. All you need is a vault, a timer, and a band of strangers with no choice but to get the job done or else. In the opening minutes of the OXE Vault scene, Thunderbolts provides us with a compelling, party-consolidating D&D one-shot that does everything our stereotypical awkward tavern scenes fails to do. It grips, it forces action, and it sets clear stakes before anyone has a chance to second-guess their place at the table. So, to break it down, let's crack open that vault and see exactly how this sequence nails the structure, tension, and friction, and how you can swipe every ounce of that narrative magic for your own table. Part 1. Start with a clear mission. Every great one-shot begins with a simple, crystal clear objective. In Thunderbolts, that mission for Yelena is to stop the theft of valuable national assets stored in a highly secure vault. Clean, direct, no arduous social encounter with guards just to get the quest, no monotonous travel sequences. Yelena isn't sitting in a tavern waiting for something to happen. She's already on the mission. In D&D terms, this is delivering your players straight at the quest hook, not in their hometown as they ponder adventure, not as they meet in a tavern awkwardly awaiting something actually interesting to happen. When organising the session, or during a session 0, you can share with the players that your characters have been summoned to infiltrate a fortress where dangerous items are about to be stolen. Stop the thieves, secure the vault, get out. This works because it gives the players a solid goal, and they won't spend valuable time chasing misconceptions or situations that you haven't planned or prepped for, slowly taking themselves further away from the actual quest. They already know exactly what they need to accomplish, and their goal is right in front of them. How they go about doing that is the fun part. So, what happens at the beginning of the scene in the movie? Well, Yelena arrives at the facility and makes her way to the vault. No combat, no skill checks. Not yet, anyway. The players would be suspicious. It's easy. Almost too easy. You can then either have the players make a straight D20 roll to determine who you focus on the narrative first, or get a seasoned player to start interacting with the world so the less experienced ones know the flow and opportunities available. This is you passing the narrative football to them specifically, rather than chucking it into the air and expecting everyone to coordinate to catch it immediately. That's when Yelena enters the vault and sees intriguing boxes, piles of files, and secret documents. The player can begin investigating them whilst waiting for the thieves to arrive, and this is a perfect time-appropriate lore dump that doesn't feel too obvious or pace-killing. You can easily share a brief description of the room with the player, and they'll feel validated for interacting with the environment by the value of the world-building information they find. The trick here is to start your one-shot at the action, not in a location with no narrative momentum. Part 2. Introducing the characters sequentially. As this happens, you can then introduce your other players into the game, handing over narrative momentum to them one at a time. The thing is, it's not just one of your players that have been summoned to defend this vault. It's all of them seemingly defending it from each other. When introducing the next character, you could say, "John Walker, you have been sent to stop the theft of important information from inside the vault, but when you get there, you immediately see someone else is already rummaging through the files. What do? I draw my gun. I don't know her, and she doesn't belong here." In future, instead of clumsily introducing all the characters simultaneously, like they've just blinked into existence on a road, having never interacted together, instead, steadily introduce them one after another. To use the narrative football metaphor again, this is you as the DM consciously passing it to someone, rather than tossing it up in the air and expecting everyone to chaotically leap after it. By picking one player to have narrative control, the other players can learn a little bit about that character, more than they would if they'd started together, and by creating a turn order and withholding that narrative control, you create anticipation to begin. This way, they will get further invested in the story than they would if you had given narrative control to everyone simultaneously. Instead, they think, when I'm introduced, this is what I'll do. So they eagerly await their introduction. With this, you're making their time in character a seemingly finite resource, so they're invested in its use, rather than it being unlimited but directionless. When you offer a 2-sentence introduction for a specific character, all the players feel naturally engaged. The player you've targeted thinks, right, I have now been asked to play D&D. The anticipation in the other players builds as they follow the narrative along, getting mentally ready and excited to start their turn. The trick here is to not give the players narrative control immediately. Instead, hand it over sequentially so they are prepared and value it more. Part 3. Instant action equals instant engagement. It is also helpful to think cinematically and narratively when trying to make a D&D session exciting. By placing the players straight at their goal, there is action and momentum immediately. No 3 sessions of travel and tavern talk. The OXE Vault scene starts almost media res, in mission, with each character leaping into combat to defend the vault and defeat the thieves, executing the mission they've been given and showing what they do best. This is how you introduce a party into a one-shot, giving them the opportunity to show off their abilities, temperaments, and dynamics through gameplay, and feeling validated by that. They can introduce dynamic actions under fire, like dodging rather than attacking, revealing their ingenuity and the multitude of options available in Dungeons & Dragons. The trick here is to give your players the wish fulfillment they play D&D for as soon as possible. We can all sit around a table in a bar in the real world. In D&D, we want to be told about the awesome, fantastical effects our spells have, or our martial prowess. Then suddenly, smash, the doors slam down, and despite being in mid-combat, they are now stuck in the vault, and the temperature in there is steadily rising. Part 4. Creating party cohesion. Then comes the twist. They weren't just sent there to stop a theft, they were set up to kill each other. In D&D terms, this is the moment the DM drops the plot twist that brings the party together. You have all, seemingly, been betrayed. The mission was a lie. You're now all locked in, and none of you were supposed to make it out alive. Here's the genius bit. Instead of the PvP chaos of before, the time-sensitive tension forces party cohesion. They don't trust each other, they don't even know to like each other, but they have to work together to survive. This is an inspired D&D move. Introduce friction, but then use external danger to push the players into cooperation. Let's be fair, it's a lot more interesting than the contrived reason most parties form, because the people playing them are sat around the same table. This kind of cooperation, born out of self-preservation, is a lot more interesting than the motivationless companionship of most D&D campaigns, and allows the characters to remain distinct to themselves as opposed to being confined to the party's most common alignment. The trick here is to force collaboration out of survival. They can learn to respect and care for each other as time goes by. Part 5. A dungeon built for tension. Now, they're trapped. The timer is ticking and they're forced to work together to survive. They have one character that can walk straight through walls, but something is stopping them. There must be a glyph or magical force field. If you can find its source, you might be able to destroy it and escape. In D&D terms, this is dropping the players directly into a dungeon with a time-sensitive goal. The players are overtly interested in their character sheets, as their spells and skills may hold the solution to this problem. The players are also motivated to roleplay together, because their collaborative choices matter right now. The vault itself becomes a dungeon, confined, dangerous, full of logic puzzles and potential hazards. Plus, the exits are sealed. Each selfish choice, each dice roll that fails adds to the pressure, so the players desperately need to work together to overcome these obstacles. There's no monster to kill, no town to protect, just the rising consequence of catastrophic failure. Here, only the clock matters, and the players need to communicate and work together to survive. Using clues on the battle map, or inspired through roleplay, like looking for ley lines, they can find the source of the force field. Players can attempt to dismantle the magic using their thieves' tools or an arcana check, but smashing it to pieces is also a valid option. The trick here is to make the encounter time sensitive so the players communicate in character in an attempt to survive. Part 6. A puzzle, not a combat. With the characters surviving by the skin of their teeth, you can reward them with a flashback. Doing little non-consequential narrative moments like this are excellent rewards for the players other than gold. In doing this, you're acknowledging the work they've put into their backstory, and it also helps the other players view the character as more than just the decisions the player has made for them so far. Then comes the best part, a shift from the chaos of pure survival to, again, cooperative, collaborative problem solving. The only way out is up, but how do you climb walls that are so smooth? This is peak D&D design. It's not about initiative rolls or damage output, it's about creatively solving a problem using the little tools at hand. If they had a party member with flying speed and a rope, this situation would have been resolved immediately, but they don't. Every player needs to contemplate how to resolve this obstacle using logic, rather than just rolling dice. These puzzles are glue moments. They bond the players together because they have to discuss and brainstorm in character with each other, and because their unique class, abilities, stats and tools actually matter here. The trick here is to make players feel integrated into the world by having puzzles solved with logic rather than just dice rolls. Part 7. Group strategy versus individual turns. In most combat-heavy D&D sessions, players act in isolation, one turn at a time. That can be fun, but it can also become mechanical and uninspired. What the vertical shaft scene shows is a better alternative for one-shots. The party plans and acts together, not I swing my sword 2 times, that's my go, but instead the party figures out a plan and they must succeed with a group skill check. We push against one another to move up the shaft, and together we walk and climb. But then, when they are close to the top and eventually fail a skill check, you are all so close to the top but fail the final skill check. Roll me a dex saving throw or tell me what action you would take to save the party. I secure a rope to Bob's foot. This transforms the table from individual actions into a group ensemble. The players no longer are waiting for their turn. They've talked, they've planned, and built a solution together. And that's where the session hits storytelling gold. In 15 minutes of screen time, the OXE Vault Thunderbolts sequence gives us the perfect D&D one-shot structure. 1. A simple mission for the player characters to directly follow. 2. Creating intrigue by introducing the characters sequentially. 3. Immediate action gives the players an opportunity to show off their characters. 4. Create party cohesion out of survival. 5. Using time-based challenges to propel narrative momentum. 6. Logic-based problem solving as opposed to just dice rolls to succeed. 7. A team-building puzzle that demands cooperation. No 50-page backstories, no interactions that have no relevance to the plot, No 3-hour travel montages, just strong characters, tight pacing, rising stakes, and a group of people that must become a party or die alone. Sound familiar? It should. It's what every great D&D one-shot tries to do, and it makes a fun and memorable D&D session. So, if you're prepping your next D&D one-shot, whether it's sci-fi steampunk, medieval fantasy, or a post-apocalyptic dystopia, remember the OXE Vault scene and the lessons we can learn from it. Start with a simple goal, throw in a twist, and give your players a problem that only teamwork can solve. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. You are a hero just for that. If you've liked this breakdown, please hit the like button, roll a stealth check on that subscribe bell, and also let me know in the comments what scene from TV or film you think would make a perfect D&D one-shot. This video is a cinematic short that I think you might like, whilst this playlist features more D&D advice. Until next time, adventurers, stay clever, stay chaotic, but most importantly, stay together.